So I reiterate here, the bill is dead.
The story of this great city is about the years before this night. We are free!
Hey everybody, welcome to a new episode of Ho Ho Hong Kong. We're here, it's a beautiful January day. I am not quarantined yet. I don't know by the time you guys listen to this what is the situation right now, but we're recording on the day when everything was starting to go to shit.
Yeah, when the announcement just happened.
Exactly, and I think by the time you guys listen to this, you will remember this day very fondly.
Yeah.
So we will see.
No, actually, you know what? We can tell people we're actually recording on Wednesday, 6:20 p.m. on the 5th of January.
There you go.
Most people don't even know the news update.
That is true.
Right? They're still like, what's going to happen?
Yeah, what are we doing this weekend?
Yeah, they're still having lovely plans. Oh, let's go here. We're going to meet
Actually,
at that bar.
by the time our listeners listen to this, most of them are already in Penny Bay.
Yeah.
So you're welcome for the company.
We know our demographic.
Yeah, exactly.
They clearly did not abide by any rules and regulations. All right. So, well, I'm hoping you're all enjoying the lock-in at home. Right? You looked at 4 walls. Now you're looking at the ceiling as well.
Yeah, you're enjoying the wall of toilet paper that you ordered. You fucking weirdo.
Yeah,
Just get a bidet like everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
It's from. I will put it in the link, the description of the episode. 100 RMB from Taobao. Just get a bidet. Stop being disgusting.
Yeah.
Just like Vivek, let me ask you this: if you're holding a baby and the baby shits on your arm, and you have 2 options, either toilet paper or water, what are you gonna use?
I would disown the baby. I just don't mind.
Yeah, I would drop it too. But
so toilet
if
paper
you're a
or
normal
water?
person,
So wait, toilet paper or water?
Yeah.
I probably would water spray it.
Yeah,
I would get the hoses that they do on the roadside where they spray the pavement. I want every little nook and cranny clear. I'll even have those boards with the guy standing there to avoid the water from splashing the pedestrians.
Exactly, and water is available for everybody. But okay, let me ask you this: you're a local.
Yes.
Are they using what is the toilet water in Hong Kong? Is it sanitary? Like, is it seawater?
No. It's undrinkable. It's basically tap water and toilet water are 2 different things.
Oh,
Yeah, so you can't drink you can. You shouldn't. But anyway, speaking of toilet water.
Yeah, how do people find you online?
Exactly. If you want some toilet humor, you can go to funnyvivek.com or at funnyvivek and yourself.
I am at the other Muhammad.
Hey, there we go.
Where we post clips from the podcast and information about shows and all kinds of stuff.
To get away from toilet humor, today we have
very clean humor.
Exactly.
We actually have a returning guest and a new guest. Very excited for this. We have our friend of the podcast now, John Buckman. John is back on the podcast. John, how are you doing, buddy?
Hey, ho, ho.
There you go.
Sounds he's going to protest. He's like, hey, ho, ho. I'm like, don't say that. Something's got to go.
And we also have Bugs. Bugs is... I will let her introduce herself.
What news announcement?
Oh yeah, they literally don't know.
You don't?
No,
We have
and don't keep
idea
it
what
this
you're
way.
talking about.
We might actually weave it in the middle of the episode and see what happens.
Yeah.
So they came straight from a hike to this recording.
I've been offline.
And also, I chatted with them for a while.
Yeah.
And then right before we came up here, I'm like, you guys didn't look at the news, did you? They're like, nope. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's okay. It doesn't matter. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy the moment while it still lasts.
At the moment, all I can think of is, hi, my name is Bugs. But now my brain is like,
It's all bugged up.
What news announcement?
Tell me everything. Don't worry. When you hear the podcast on Monday, you'll be like, I know what news announcement happened.
All right.
So real quick, so Bugs over here, I love people with like cool names and all. Is Bugs short for something?
Gosh.
Oh, they didn't tell you? They were like, just stick to Bugs.
I'll cut a very long story short.
Yeah.
Because we were both married, not to each other.
Yeah.
And then we got together.
Yeah.
And so we tried to sort of reinvent ourselves as more sexy, interesting kind of people.
Yeah.
So he changed his name.
Yeah.
And then he changed my name for me.
Oh, I can see why. He was like,
Because she was everything she touched became a shit show. And so I called her Bugs because just everything went to hell around
How
her.
romantic,
That's
you guys.
so
Yeah. What a
true.
cute story.
and then she touched your hand and you're like, oh, wait a second. What happened over there?
So I keep calling him Gil, and no one knows him as Gil. So you guys
boy.
know him as John, but I only know him as Gil. And
Gail.
then-
Okay, we're going to refer to him as Gail the whole
Okay,
time.
Yeah.
Gil Buckman? Do you still
Yeah.
go with Buckman?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually my middle name, but
So you
It
decided.
makes me sound much more sophisticated.
So you decided to change your first name, but not your last name. You're like, Buckman sounds awesome.
It's
I'm gonna
not
stick
Gil,
that.
it's Gilles.
Gilles. Oh, it's one of those pretentious guys.
I'm
I like
going
it.
for
Oh,
it.
did you
There
hear
we
the
go.
French? Ugh.
Ugh.
Yeah, I have to wipe the spit off this microphone now.
Poor next guest.
Very, very random point to start. How did you guys meet?
I paid for him on the internet.
Nice.
Nice. Okay, so that is like
Clearly-
Tinder pre-Tinder.
Oh yeah, way pre.
Did you use Dust to pay him?
I didn't even swipe. It's like I had to read a bio, and I was.
I bet you you ordered an item and it arrived. You're like, what the hell happened? You sent a support ticket. You're like, what the hell happened? They're like, it's all. We had a bug in the system. Hey, that's an idea for a name.
Back in the day when you started out dating again,
Yeah.
it's
So
a
you
little
saw-
bit more involved, a bit more complicated. You had to sort of.
So you probably saw again the names John, Gil, and you was like, no, pronounced as Gilles. You're like, I want one of those. Like you ordered it and it arrived at your doorstep. Okay, that's good.
There's just done a whole lot more emailing and
Yeah,
exchange
back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
but when you say paid for, it seems like it's not exactly what it sounds like. You paid his first services for something that is probably like very random and maybe boring. Not what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, we're definitely taking a wrong turn here.
Yeah, exactly.
Every listener is like, whoa, what? What service is this? I've
Yeah.
never heard of it.
So we were actually in the U.S. and what we found is even though we were in the San Francisco area, people were super conservative in really weird ways, and she basically like tweaking them. So she's like, "Oh, you guys married?" You go, "Yeah, but not to each other." and they'd be like, "You dirt." and it was so there were other ones like, "So how did you meet?" It's like, "Well, he had a collar, I had a chain." And they're like, and they go like, "Cool." Okay, so that's the Bay Area basically.
Yeah,
for
okay.
it.
Nice.
Funny enough, the equivalent of that also has the word bay in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Boom. Another thing. Look at us with the pun
It's,
words.
no, Bugs is confused Discovery Bay.
Yeah.
Famous for, yeah, there you go.
Sorry. Yeah.
With the whole confusing relationship
Yeah.
Yeah,
issue.
confusing
Yeah.
relationships. Did you
Yeah.
hear about like the? I think someone mentioned it on the podcast before. Apparently, the position of your shoes outside of the house in Discovery Bay
Tells
tells
people
you if you're into the swingers stuff or not. Like legitimately.
I thought it was the washing powder boxes. That's
Oh,
what
okay.
I heard.
Oh,
Maybe that's in Tsuen Wan.
yeah.
I know there's definitely no swinging going on in China. No.
They're like, it's scented cleaning powder.
Yeah.
I know what they really mean.
Speaking of Tsuen Wan, actually, one of the main reasons we wanted you guys back on here is because you have lived in Tsuen Wan for a long time. What, 6 years now?
Six
Yeah, or
years,
it could be
yeah.
Tsuen Wan.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
clearly.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
there you go.
Said
Look at
that
the freaking
too.
white guy correcting me.
Yeah, you know, but
you
like
go to
the taxi
Shunwan.
drivers, right?
Yeah.
Because we say like we live in Chunwan, they're like Shangwan.
Yeah.
Like no,
No,
Guaido, you
no,
don't
no.
live in Chunwan.
Yeah.
You're in Shangwan. I'm like no.
That's a very good point, actually.
Chunwan.
Yeah, I bet you had to clarify that many times.
It
right?
never worked.
Every single
time.
Yeah, so instead we would go Yao Gong Dao.
Yao
And they're
Gong
like,
Dao.
oh, okay. And boom.
So wait, okay. Between the four of us, there is only one native Cantonese speaker.
Yeah.
How do you say Tsuen Wan?
Tsuen Wan.
Chunwan.
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 So it's what
Sorry.
I'm saying, but with the tones.
But you were like Ching Wan. You were like Ching.
You're like
Oh,
Ching
right,
Yi.
right,
It should be
right.
Chun. Tsuen.
I have done my time learning Mandarin. Fuck that. I'm not doing it anymore.
Try learning Cantonese,
Yeah.
man. That's how it's pronounced. That. But yeah, so Tsuen Wan. Okay, so first of all, in case 90% of our listeners are probably like, "What the hell is that?" I never heard of it,
Yeah.
right?
It's the end of the line.
Yeah, exactly. So you'll
It's
see
the
the
end
red
of the
line you
line.
take to go to places like Chim Sa Choy or Mong Kok. Actually, the line itself is called the Tsuen Wan line.
It keeps going.
It keeps going, right?
Actually,
Who knew?
that's not true. That line is called the red line officially.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
all I know about
Yeah.
the red line.
Or the Cross Harbor line. That's all you're like. Let's cross harbor. Let's get out of here. Where you know that line that you get confused at Mongkok, where you're like, why are they still on the train? Why are these people staying on?
Yeah.
Do they not understand it's the end of the line here?
Yeah.
Yeah. It goes on to more and more stations, Shamjapo, or Laishikok, all that
Is
stuff.
it kind of like do you always feel like when you get on that line from Central and then you're just losing foreigners at every stop until you're like the last one?
Yeah.
You lose them all at Monco.
Yeah, right. Shamshapo, if they're like
Yeah.
really trying to get a
Yeah,
bargain,
Yeah, they're
right?
trying to exactly
Yeah.
go to Temple Street or something.
They're there for a
and then it just
curry.
it,
Yeah.
and then everyone else looking at you like you guys should have gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably drunk.
Yeah.
Like as the stations go by, everyone keeps looking like they're still here. They're
Yeah.
still here. Like someone's gonna pull like an emergency alarm. Like, Quailo's still here. Help. Right. But that's good. So Tsuen Wan. So is there a particular reason why Tsuen Wan attracted you?
It was really cheap.
There you go.
Really
Thank you very much.
cheap.
Good night,
Like a
everyone.
third of the price.
Yeah. So there you go. First of all, but wait. So you've been there for 6 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was after the whole liking. You could interchange the Tung Chung line and everything before with the red line. there was no interchange in Liking where you can go from Central to Liking and go to Tsuen Wan. Before you do the whole way, you go from Central all the way to the end. So you've enjoyed the 6 years. So Tsuen Wan, because I used to have my band room used to be in Tsuen Wan side, so I've been there many, many times. And clearly when you get there, this is like the pure, proper local Hong Kong. The real deal. None of the Hollywood stuff, none of the Lonely Planet stuff. This is the real...
And none of that Sha Tin kind of shopping mall hell.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
So Tsuen Wan, it does have like the Panda Hotel, that area does have the city store and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But then I'm guessing that you are more in the inner sides where it's like proper...
It's like wet markets and
Yeah.
there's people with those loudspeakers. They go blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
over and over and over again, telling
Yeah.
you
Ba, ba,
something.
ba, ba, ba,
Yeah,
ba,
right.
ba, yeah.
So in a lot of wet markets, you only
Yeah.
have this one stall where this guy's got on loop
Yeah.
a recorded voice of saying "last day today," everything has to
Every
go.
day he has last day
Exactly.
today.
Every day is
Yeah.
last day. The rent's due or something's happening, and it's just on loop. To
That
the
sounds
point.
like torture.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
I guess for in small doses it's fine. Like if you're
No,
just
it's
in and
torture.
out.
No,
Yeah.
it's
Even-
pretty bad.
Yeah,
yeah.
But you show up at
But-
7:30 and they're closing at 8 and they are getting rid of everything.
Yeah.
So like
Right.
you walk up to them, you see a basket, it's 5 Hong Kong. You give them 5 Hong Kong and they go, no, 3.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
5."
yeah,
And
you
you're
take
like,
all
"Wait,
of them,
okay."
yeah.
They give you 3 baskets for
Yeah, exactly. They want to get rid of that stuff, right?
Right,
full on.
right.
because
yeah,
the
yeah.
foreigners are the only ones who'll eat ripe fruit.
Yeah, exactly.
So they dump
Because
that
they-
shit on you.
Correct,
and you're
because
like,
they're looking
"This
at
is
you going
great."
like, yeah, they're looking at you like, do they realize this stuff is going to go bad like in 2 days? There's no way you can fit. All locals are like, I'm going to plan this out. I want
Yeah.
the bananas kind of green.
Mangoes.
Right?
I'm looking for the mangoes that are about to go.
Yeah.
That's how you eat them, right? You
Yeah.
eat them where they're like they might actually fall through your fingers. They're so ripe.
Is this because like you believe in the whole live in the moment thing? Is like they're ripe now. I
No,
eat
we're
them
just cheap.
Just cheap. I've known these guys for a year. No, it's not what you're thinking.
We're just
cheap.
I love it. This is so good. Okay, so Tsuen Wan and everything. So tell me more about. So you saw a place Tsuen Wan. Are you the type of person that likes to go to these sorts of?
We did not come to Hong Kong to hang out with a bunch of white people. That was
Nice.
like, what was the point of going to Asia for that? I'll give you one example of what kind of blew our mind. We weren't in Tsuen Wan, we were in Belvedere Gardens, which is like one more stop
Yeah.
further.
Yeah.
Last housing development. And there's, the fishmonger there, and I'm looking at the fish because I don't speak any of this language. And I see the woman in front of me, and she gives him a certain amount of money for the fish. I'm like, okay, I'll get the same fish, right? And he's like, nah, you don't want that fish. You want this fish. I'm like, okay. So I hand him 100 Hong Kong, and he's like, nah, 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 nah. I'm like, can I have my change, man? You're stealing from me. Nah. And he gives me this waving away. Go away, stupid idiot. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Ah." So I go back. I'm like, man, I got ripped off. The guy wouldn't give me any change.
Yeah.
Next day I go, and I see someone hand 200 Hong Kong for the same fish. And I'm like, the guy sold me really expensive fish.
Yeah.
I didn't give enough money, and he's like, stupid ass Guido, get
Yeah.
out of my face. You don't get any change.
Oh.
Wow.
Wow.
And
Okay.
that's pretty much the
See,
situation.
that's
of being
the
in Hong
benefit
Kong.
of not learning the local language. You can get away with that kind of stuff. When I do that, like, I know you speak my language. You heard me say that's not enough money.
That wasn't the moral of the story, but I see where you're going there.
Yeah, that's a superpower,
Foreign
man.
privilege.
Ignorance,
Exactly.
ignorance.
Yeah,
Power of
sometimes
idiocy.
learning more than one language is not good for you.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I so regret this now.
Yeah.
I'm paying full price for
As
fish.
comedian Ash James has a joke about it. He's like a British, very basic white guy who only speaks English, and he's here to teach English, as foreigners do.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, if you speak more than one language, it's your fault, you idiot. You can't teach English because they want you to just speak English. They don't want you to learn the language, either the local language or anything else. Just speak English. You're
Yeah.
fine. He's like, my only qualification is that I speak the language I speak.
Yeah,
That's it.
and that's good enough.
That's good.
Yeah.
So one of the things that floored us about Hong Kong, we cannot get a good answer about, is if you know the expression PDA, personal displays
Of affection.
public displays of
Yeah,
affection,
yeah.
right? It's everywhere. Like people are they're snogging everywhere, they're holding hands. Like Hong Kongers are really tight with each
Because
other.
that's the only place they have that's private in public. Because like everywhere else they're with family, like
Yeah.
the flats are small. There's no special room or separate
Okay.
place. So yeah, a lot of that, and those are opportunities. Because like when you're on the escalator, like if you're not hugging your girlfriend, the girlfriend's like, "Do you not love me anymore?
Yeah. it's
You
true.
liked me down there. You don't love me anymore up
Yeah.
here."
Speaking of, can you
That's
get your
interesting.
uncle and his kids to stop staring at us while we're recording, please?
No, that's part of the PDA.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a sign of approval. They're like, that's worth watching. That's a good sign.
But like same sex kind of affection as well, like girls
Nowadays
hold
more,
hands
yeah,
a
yeah,
ton. around.
You got, I mean, girls especially more because from school times as well.
Yeah.
And, you know, secondary schools get a lot of those. But yeah, PDA. The thing though is that PDA usually is confined to certain places, like escalators.
Yeah.
Lifts not so much because you know it's kind of awkward. You might have to move a little bit.
MTR, like the
right?
girls are
MTR
hanging
all the
out
time.
with their boyfriends.
Oh, full on MTR, rush hour, no rush hour. It's
Yeah.
all happening. Especially if you get the compartments where you have the in between cars.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is the best.
Yeah.
You know, because like that's also kind of risky. Any moment the car might break apart. Will we still be together? You know, stuff like that. So you have one of those. The buses happen, but not so much because you're on the seat. It's not as fun unless she's still on your lap, but that's not really happening over there. But yeah, I've seen a lot of those. The escalator is the true test.
Okay, so as someone who comes from a conservative society in the Middle East,
Yes.
what are the laws when it comes to PDA here? Like, what is too far?
Tongue.
Tom? But that's not illegal.
No,
though.
we've seen that. We've seen that.
Yeah, what is illegal? Like a genuine question. What is illegal
I
here?
would say like going
Because for us, for example, PDA in Egypt, as far as I know, I left 10 years ago, but as
Yeah.
far as I know, you can hold hands, but you cannot hug someone in public. Even your own
You
wife.
can't hug?
Like, you can just say hi very quickly.
Yeah.
No, you cannot just, like, you know, hug someone in public.
Oh.
You cannot kiss anyone on the lips, like,
Oh,
for
yeah,
whatever
yeah,
reason.
Yeah.
All of that stuff. But here, I imagine that's
I
all
guess
okay.
exposure here, maybe that's like the big one that you have to draw the line when you expose certain parts of your body. I guess
Okay.
that would be the line. But then generally people don't go
I feel
there.
like in summer, a lot of people will go to jail then.
Depends on which station you're at. Some stations,
I
yes.
live in Saigon. It's
Oh,
like fucking a French
illegal
beach.
as hell.
What the fuck?
Every day that slope, man.
That's
It's like
crazy.
people. where you now? Okay, so I would say body exposure, certain parts of the body, depending on which sex you are and also which body type you have.
Okay.
Some parts are just illegal because it's just ugh.
Gross.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's just like, please don't do that to us, you know. Yes, you have that. Okay, so that's good observations. The PDA thing, that definitely happens. Mo, now that you can do PDA in Hong Kong, is that something you're trying to look forward to?
No. I'm
Okay.
a very conservative
All right.
man still.
Okay. So did not take any improv classes. They just denied my. It's like,
No, I'm a very conservative man
Yeah.
who is still waiting for my wife that my mom will arrange for me at some
Exactly, it'll
point.
happen one day. what is your take
She listens to
on?
podcast.
What about you guys? Like, what's your take on the PDA situation in Hong Kong? Like for me, it's kind of fun to look at every now and then. I don't watch it much because I'm like, I don't really care. It's not part of my life. But it's always every now and then like, oh, look at this young couple. They still believe in this.
Older couples too, and especially because you read all about these conservative Asian mores, and I'm just really not seeing it. I get that the small apartments, but there's small apartments all over the world, and
Yeah.
you know you don't see this in New York, and it's the same sort of closeted living.
Yeah, because New
there.
York, you got to go to the back alleys for that, right? That's
pay
what's
for
really
that.
happening.
You got to pay for it.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's
That
part
was
of
really
it.
sweet. Just walking up and down the harbour walk, and everyone's got their little bench, and
Yeah.
they're kind of cuddled up. And
But are you guys especially enjoying it because it's so opposite from what is happening in the West?
I think I'm really sick and tired of Christian conservatism. I gotta tell you,
Yeah.
and like
Right.
especially in Europe, where it's like just touching is iffy, and
Right.
people are so freaky about people being affectionate with each other that it feels like a real openness. I mean, one of the things that really drew us to Hong Kong, and it's so stupid, is yarn bombing. Do you guys know what yarn bombing is?
Is it the one where they put yarn all over the?
Yeah,
railings?
exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of like guerrilla gardening. Guerrilla gardening is where you just start gardening in random public spaces you're not supposed to do. Yarn bombing is when you just start putting flowers and other yarn things,
Railings
knitted
and
things,
stairs, yeah,
all
yeah.
over the place. And like that sort of allowed anarchy was incredibly compelling for
Yeah.
me about this place. I'll mention something else that a lot of people haven't seen. Is we go hiking in Shingmun, so Shingmun Pineapple Dam,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
And if you go down this little path, you go to this stream. There are these two guys and the wife with the tea canister, and these guys have these 3-meter long metal poles, and every day they're there flipping these massive stones, and they've been terraforming the thing for decades.
Yeah.
So you have like maybe 300-meter long thing with all these flat walking paths, and you have bathing pools. They've completely remade this. It's obviously totally legal to do this.
Yeah.
And then there's other people who've set up tents and like shade spots, and that sort of allowed disorder
Yeah.
is like a really key part of, for me, of the Hong Kong way.
Yeah, I think the Hong Kong way is really a matter of like, don't get in my way, and it's fine. Like, I don't care if you, as long as you don't bother me from making my money. It's like, I don't care what rocks you're flipping or what things you're shading under.
But they're helping others too. They're doing. It's not like Americans with "my me mine." I got my car. Get the hell out of my way.
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
This
yeah.
is some guys actually making pools for other people to enjoy. And when we first saw them, I took a photograph and they kind of freaked. They're like, "Oh shit, it's the government."
Yeah, yeah. And they looked at you like,
Do
oh wait,
not look like the
yeah,
government.
exactly.
yeah. They're like, oh wait,
Like
a second.
Joe-san, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Ah, okay."
We did have a former white police officer on the podcast before, though.
Yeah,
so
way back,
they might not be completely wrong.
Yeah.
He was like the only one left or whatever.
Yeah, it's still stuck around.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
For
So
the
then,
pension.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, of course,
Yeah.
for the job, please. You know.
Yeah.
So okay, but that's actually the thing with Hong Kong is that it's a weird dynamic where we kind of take pride in the ability to provide something that only we can do for a certain group of people. Like, hey, that was you see that's mine. And it's like, okay, why did you do that? Because I want to tell you that I did that, right? So there's a certain pride in that. So which is probably what they're doing over there. That idea that it's not that they want to give something for free or help some people. It's just like, I want people to know. It's basically the pre-Instagram kind of like, oh, check me out, I'm doing this. in the world.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and that's always been the thing over here.
And
mean,
if
you know-
the real like is to actually get in the pool.
Yeah.
That means he give you a like.
Exactly.
Oh no,
yeah.
they pointed out the stepping stones across that they connected up a couple of walkways
Yeah,
so you
yeah,
could
yeah.
carry on the hike.
Oh yeah.
But, there's a guy who sits there and meditates.
Yeah, you'll get
with
that
a
for sure.
shade and
Yeah.
it's,
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a big hiker, so like half of this stuff to me is very new. I'm like, what's
Oh,
this?
yeah.
You know, they're rocks. I've never heard of that. I've only heard like bricks. I've heard
I mean, like
bricks.
pools. We're talking about like 5-meter large wading pools.
Yeah.
That you just hang out. So when it's 36, 38 Celsius, you just walk this thing. We bring our little chairs and we're in the water all day long.
Done.
Yeah.
It's bliss.
Right.
One of the things that's cool at Hong Kong is they pretty much killed all the predators.
Yeah.
So it's one of the safest places to be
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the jungle on the planet.
Well, except for
Yeah.
the snakes, they're still around.
they're here once in a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
but I
I'm still yet to see them.
identified.
You have seen a few,
I've
right?
seen a few. I identified the 8 poisonous ones early on, so
Nice.
I know what to look for now.
Yeah, just go down to the trading floor. You see a bunch of
I did
snakes.
reach out. I don't think I told you. I reached out to the guy who runs the Hong Kong Snakes group on Facebook to come on the podcast, and he
Yeah.
did not answer. So if you guys know him, please reach out to him. I would love to have him on.
Is he the guy who does the night walks and he picks up snakes? And
No, I think he's just a guy who runs a big Facebook group where everyone who finds a snake posts a picture for other people to
okay.
identify. And I think he's just like a snake expert or something.
Yeah.
I don't think he does anything commercially with this information.
that was our first year. These we were having a picnic in a stream, and 3 people ran back and said, "Get out of the stream! There's a Chinese cobra just
you're like-
upstream." And we were like,
but did
"Chinese
you-
cobra?
Yeah.
I think that's fairly poisonous."
Yeah. You were like, I've heard bad things about those.
Yeah.
I watched Cobra
That
Kai.
was just after we just walked under a huge golden orb spider, too.
Oh yeah, the golden orbs are out, and it was,
Wait, where are you going?
this is God, this is the
Tsuen Wan.
Wan Chai. This is Wan Chai Gap, I think.
Oh my
Yeah,
god,
just
One Chai
basically-
Gap. That's a
One
pretty
Chai
well
Gap.
off road to have like these insects and spiders and stuff walking around.
Yeah,
Oh,
what was the reptile we saw?
Chinese water dragon.
Yeah, this thing's about 1 meter long.
Oh man.
It was pretty cool.
That sounds
Beautiful.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was on that
Just
path right
chilling
behind
out
the
on the
hospital.
rock.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, they're usually quite long, right?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
he's
Yeah.
pretty long guy. Yeah, he was
Damn.
he was in full mating plumage as well. So he's big red crest and everything. He was great.
Beautiful.
Just remind the dragon not to bite a policeman, and they can survive for the rest of their lives.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Never do that.
No, don't
Alright,
do that.
So what about this? So speaking of snakes, have you done the snake soup experience?
Not done the
No.
snakes.
Never done it?
No.
Oh, this is the
No.
time.
All right.
You've got to do it. Okay, so I've actually tried it before, and maybe my body, being Indian or whatever, could not handle it, and I had like blisters all over my mouth because of that.
You're
they,
selling this well.
Yeah, they sound really well. And the thing
No,
is
you're
that,
selling it to me really well.
dude, I'm telling you.
Blisters, yeah,
No,
pus.
but it's definitely a one-time at least experience, just to be like,
Yeah,
oh.
it is one time because after that,
Yeah, nice knowing you.
Yeah. No, because like that feeling of the next day, no matter how cold it is, you're nice and warm. You're like, this is pretty awesome, man. You look like a
Isn't
badass.
that called a fever?
No, it's called a fever when you can't enter eateries and stuff. It's okay. It's called snake soup syndrome.
oh, that means right now all of Hong Kong has fever after
Hey.
6 p.m.
Exactly. Yeah, that's probably why. No, but honestly, like, I mean, if you really want to give it a shot, I would highly recommend giving it a try. Simply because just to get that experience of like, wait, I put what in my mouth and I'm feeling what now? So yeah, I'm guessing what are you
No.
vegetarians right over here? Like,
No.
No.
Yeah, you would give me that like, oh, you eat animals look. I'm like, wait a second.
No, I
Okay.
think.
No.
I mean,
I
as
don't
ad-
eat animals that try to eat me.
Wait
Yeah.
a second.
as adventurous as you guys are, I
Yeah.
think there is a line when it comes, especially when it comes to food, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm also pretty adventurous, but like I have no interest in eating, fucking
Blowfish.
Yeah, you know what I
No.
mean?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
We've done the stinky tofu.
Oh yeah, no,
it didn't
gross.
work?
No. I feel like it's one of these
Ah.
things that like actually Chinese people like you just like it's a joke. Like when we walk away, they're like, haha,
It
idiots,
feels
idiots.
like a
Yeah,
joke.
exactly.
Yeah.
But it-
The
But the
idiot.
blood was good.
Walking down the alleyway to the cafe,
Yeah.
I was almost vomiting from
Right, you
the
could smell it. You were like, "Oh my
emanating.
god, this is
Yeah.
actually what people enjoy."
I had
But
I
it-
had this starfish on a skewer in Beijing. Disgusting. Why would you eat that? It tastes like it's exactly like it's fried sand. That's what it tastes like.
Oh.
Just
Yeah.
powdery.
Yeah, very powdery. It just it's just
Sounds
gross.
really in.
Yeah.
Edible sand.
It looks
yeah.
beautiful. Like you take a picture, then you'd have a bite. You're like, no, thank you. Just gross.
My question is like, what about snakes PDA? Two snakes getting at it. What do you think about that?
We'd watch that for hours.
Okay. My questions are done, Your Honor. Okay, so let's come back to those things. So you here, and I'm guessing like you said, you came here because you wanted the proper local experience, and you've done it right where like, you're not trying to come back to the expat community and just hang around people that you're familiar with. But then weren't there times when you were kind of lost and you're like, man, this is not working out? Have you had those moments where you're just like, I don't, nothing's making sense. I need help. No one's understanding me. I
I
don't know how
think
to
the
work.
closest to that is like when you're somewhere on a green bus stop line,
Yeah.
and you don't know
Where to
that
stop
they're
it.
all gonna be full.
Yeah.
So you're like, it's 7:00, you're somewhere in Saigon, and like the fourth full bus has passed, and you're despairing.
Yeah.
And then some other guy says, "Oh, that was the last bus, dude."
Yeah.
And now you're in Saikong and you have to take a $300 taxi or whatever.
No, you're in the zone where they won't even go.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Oh,
I'm
man.
going to be vain here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he just goes into the hairdressers and he says, Sam, MM.
Oh yeah, that's all the length
Yeah.
on it. Yeah,
So
yeah.
you try being a girl
Oh man.
in the
And-
middle of
and you
car
say-
repair alley.
Oh,
Tsuen
God.
Wan,
Yeah.
and you need a haircut.
Yeah, yeah. And
Oh
then-
yeah, you have a pretty good story that is, I think, still ongoing. Or did you some drama with the hairdresser situation?
I've had it. Yeah.
Please
It
tell
did
three
not
balding men the
end
story.
Well,
Well,
let's just say it's permanent and it's just going to take a long while to grow out, and
Oh,
we'll just
man.
leave it at that.
So okay, how many times did you have to go back to the guy?
Oh no, I went back once.
Okay.
And then it was like, all right,
So-
it's just not
But he
good.
put the idiot of the family on the task.
Yeah.
And things got worse. You come back and you make fun of my coloring. I give you an even worse job.
Wait,
I reached-
was
I
it
reached this-
Borat? Why did
I reached a certain age, and I
Okay.
was like, right, I'm going to treat myself.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get some blonde highlights.
yeah. And then they were like, okay, let's give you our blonde highlights.
So no Cantonese
Ah.
speaking from
So-
my end, no English speaking from their end.
Yeah, and this was just purely sign
is
language,
this-
body language.
yeah.
Pictures.
So they started the highlights an inch out from my scalp.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm
Okay.
like, should I say something?
Yeah,
Maybe
you're
they
like-
know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh man.
They haven't brought me a cup of tea. I'm not feeling comfortable.
Yeah. How long did you guys sit there to wait for the highlights to get sorted out?
Oh, well, no. Well, then I left. And then he's like, why did they start an inch from your head? That doesn't look right.
No,
It's very
there's actually-
stripy.
all the coworkers were staring at her hair, and
Yeah.
you go,
And
"What?
laughing at
What?"
me.
Yeah, and they go, "What color is your hair?"
They're all laughing at me. So,
Oh my god.
one of them had to ring up and say, she's coming back, dude.
yeah, fix it.
Fix it.
Yeah.
So they,
What
because they were
actually
doing it
happened
for
is-
free, they
But
Ah.
your
They-
employees, instead of working, would sit there, and you're like, "Oh, what are you guys talking about the audit?"
yeah, no,
we're talking about,
your hair.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
great.
gotta suck.
And then they just slapped it on, basically.
Yeah.
And
They're like, here, take some blonde.
and then they put the heater on top to
Oh,
make
man.
it even more blonde.
Yeah.
So I look like a chessboard.
Oh my god, that's crazy. So, so then.
But that's the Tsuen Wan experience, you know.
Fair enough.
There
right?
you go.
You
know.
gave it a shot.
It's your fucking fault for not speaking the language. So, there you go.
Wait, is that you telling them like it's not your fault? It's not
No,
this
no,
thing?
she's actually blaming you.
mentally
Yeah.
what I'm
It's
thinking.
classic British of her.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
like-
your fault, brown man.
Yeah,
Something
exactly,
happened,
yeah.
but it's your fault.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm blaming myself. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Is
that
the hair
you
issue the one exception you have to the I'm going back to the Guaylo expat
Right,
community
yeah,
for
yeah.
this one?
Yeah, in fact, she does come to Central now to get her hair
Alright.
colored.
No, honestly, fair enough. Like with some things, you're right. It's like, all right,
You're
I
not, you're not Sam MM though. What do you
Yeah.
do? I mean,
Yeah. How do you cut
my
your hair?
beard.
yeah.
My beard is a nightmare. Like because
Right.
I walk into like the cheap hairdresser where I just want to trim,
Yeah.
and it's like I like a monkey walked in. They're like, no. And some guy tried. To his credit, did try, but his razor got stuck in my beard because he never used it on people's beards. He used it for
Oh.
people's heads.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he's like, and then it got stuck, and it was a whole
Oh.
thing. So now I go to the $300 guy to trim my beard.
Yeah.
Because that's the only
And
option.
now I have to come to Central. That's my
Exactly.
only
So we
option.
would probably go to the same guy. And
Yeah.
then
John, you're the only one holding on, man.
Yeah,
They've all
Yeah.
caved.
He's like,
I'm going for the monk look. It's cheap.
yeah, he's,
yeah.
he ain't
screw it
care.
up.
He's Oyster card, 50 Hong Kong.
Yeah,
Sam
I keep
M,
wearing
yeah.
the carved designs in the back of my head, though.
No.
All you need to do next time is go in with like a brass bowl and walk in, and they won't even charge you. They'll put money back in your bowl. They'll be like, okay, let's help this out, bring us good fortune.
I mean, so apart from the hair, you don't meet anyone.
yeah,
So there's that.
yeah, fair enough.
So it's a good job we get on because
Yeah.
there's no other English conversations possible.
So wait, okay, what
outside.
was Tsuen Wan like from 6 years ago when you first moved in? You're pretty much the only foreigners.
We're,
in the
only,
entire-
we're the only foreigners.
Okay,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then just walk us through kind of like the 6 years, like the other people showing up. Like, what
and-
kind of businesses are popping up around there?
And how many parents have come up to you to ask if you tutor English?
None.
No, none.
None.
Well,
never.
you-
I think they look like they have money still.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why.
But we used to go like, hey, do you want to go downtown today? We're like, yeah. And we go into Tsuen Wan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where they have restaurants.
Wild.
Right. So
Yeah.
6 years. Is there a favorite place? Like, tell us a bit more. Like, what was it like 6 years ago when you first got there?
Oh, well, there was Crystal Jade's Alon Bao.
Yeah, that
The
was
best
that
ever.
was awesome. That's
Yeah,
gone.
yeah, yeah.
It's
That's gone.
gentrified.
For sure. Yeah,
It's-
yeah. Every area now you can't get away, especially with new train stations. For sure, you're out of it. I mean, when
Yeah.
Tsuen Wan West happened, that completely changed Tsuen Wan's whole mentality as well.
Yeah, there's Western restaurants now. There never used to be. And
Yeah.
Lots of micro grocery stores selling frozen stuff from Korea or Australia
Japanese
everywhere.
Right?
supermarkets
Yeah.
and stuff that don't.
But,
But
I
we've
mean-
still got an amazing notorious wet market.
Yeah.
We still have an amazing notorious wet market.
Yeah. That's good.
So that is just fantastic.
That's
Does
the
it
one.
have any exotic animals?
well, live chickens.
That's not so exotic.
Well,
When everything is said and done, I should take you to Wuhan for a weekend. I have literally been to that around these markets before. I think you will enjoy it there. When you see,
They have snakes.
they do have snakes.
Yeah. Because like Tsuen Wan, like way back, I would say what was I like 19, 18, so maybe like 20 years ago. It was like McDonald's and a bunch of Chinese restaurants, and that was pretty much it. So it's like if you're after like 10 p.m., there's only McDonald's left that you can eat over there. Nothing else is open at that time. There's all mom and pop shops all closed. All the Cafe de Corrals and everything, 10 o'clock they're out as well.
Yeah.
McDonald's was at 24 hours over there, so you have those, and you always have the kids going to McDonald's. No
Yeah.
matter what hour there as well. But now with all these new fancy restaurants, I'm sure you have like families coming in fancy cars, going to parking, and
The fancy cars are going to the shopping malls, but it's still pretty much the case that most of the menus are not bilingual. And you
Yeah.
got to bust out your iPhone app that can read Chinese.
Yeah.
And then it's always like, fragrant Buddha. And you're like, what the hell is a fragrant Buddha? I'll get one, whatever.
Yeah,
probably
sure.
It doesn't really
vegetarian.
help.
Can you guys recognize the characters for, let's say, beef and chicken and stuff like
The
that?
basic stuff, we never really wanted to just order food because it's a safe meat.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Like, there's
beef
just-
what?
beef. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Beef flavored snake soup. Oh! Yeah,
so
okay,
that's
okay.
always been like,
yeah.
Ah, okay.
Our favorite place to go up is a place called Samsheng, which is up Castle Peak Road. So basically, you go Tsuen Wan towards Toon Moon.
Yeah.
And it's got a huge duck statue in a roundabout as you approach.
goose.
Goose, sorry,
Goose,
huge
yeah.
goose.
Wait,
Samsheng.
hold on, because there's
Castle Peak
the
Road.
really famous roast goose place.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the one.
That's the
Yeah.
one. That's the
Dude,
one.
their roast goose ridiculously good.
I don't know about
But
it.
this is, but what's
amazing.
interesting
Oh,
here?
Dang, yeah, okay, yeah,
exactly.
okay, yeah.
But what's cool about, I think, like anyone who lives in Central needs to go here because there's the whole rules versus not rules thing as you drive in. Because as you drive in on the left, it's all shopping malls and skyscrapers, and it's just like dismal. And on
Yeah.
the right hand side, it's a squatter village kind of merged into a traditional village, and it's just tin shacks.
Yeah.
And everyone's happy, and the food's really awesome. It's like control left,
Yeah.
Vitality, right-hand side.
Right.
And there's old versus new Hong Kong. They're
Right
in the
there.
battle.
Right there at the roundabout.
Yeah. Because like the closest I have for that one, you know where Cyberport is?
Yeah.
They have, you know where Wafu Estate and everything is? They have also those kind of shacks,
Right.
the metal shacks and everything.
Yeah.
It's like just 2 minutes away. I'm like, this is so crazy.
Yeah.
Like, 2 minutes away, you got the high-tech Cyberport area with all the fancy buildings, like overpriced housing.
Right.
And next door to like, this guy's got like metal railings as a ceiling. I'm like, this is the best.
Yeah.
So I get what you mean. That's a
And
really
the
cool
food
thing.
is awesome.
Right?
You're
'Cause
like,
it's all
30 to 50 Hong Kong, and you got yourself like
Yeah.
a nice fish dish.
Proper
It's
portions
great.
as well. Like
Yep.
they come in and
Yeah.
rice, they'll be like, bam, and you're like, less rice. They're like, what's wrong with you? How dare you insult? Like, eat your rice, Like, yeah, you get that attitude.
But it also comes after the bill, like at the very end.
Yeah. And also, like, one thing you must appreciate when you go to these restaurants is that the service is the true Hong Kong service of like, look, you're not here to see me, you're not here to see my smiles. Eat your damn food, get the
Oh
fuck
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what I
There is no
appreciate.
small talk.
There's no how was your meal halfway
Yeah.
through. Nobody gives a shit that my meal's damn good. Eat it and get out, right? So you have that. But the malls, though, is like, oh, our special for today is
Yeah,
like,
it's, like, it's
shut
all
up.
fake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't like that either. It's like the over politeness. Of
Yeah.
How are you? I'm like, you don't care.
Yeah, you
Just-
don't care.
Yeah.
Stop.
So
Yeah.
I mean, we really want to learn Cantonese, just be able to broaden what we eat.
Yeah,
That's the
fair
biggest
enough.
thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not like if you go to a place that's like a wedding banquet place where there's just no anything in English.
Yeah.
And you try to order all the interesting dim sum. They're like, oh, you want char siu? I'm like, no, I don't want fucking char
That's
siu.
the same guy that, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
So have you
I
done
want the crazy inside out roll thing.
right? Okay,
I
so
love that stuff.
right, so full on. This
Wait, what
I
is
love.
that?
The inside out roll.
It's like deep fried on the inside.
I'm
And
lost.
gooey
really
on
was-
the outside.
Yeah, it's like
it blows
what
your
kind of roll?
mind.
it's like soy. It's like what's the wrapping? It's like a bean curd kind
Oh,
of wrapping.
yeah, it's
right?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I do know what you're talking
Yeah, if
about.
you see
Okay,
it,
that's
it's
sounds
slimy
good.
on, yeah, it's like
Yes.
everything is usually crunchy on the outside, soft on the inside. This
Yes.
is crunchy on the inside,
Yes.
slimy on the outside.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I know exactly what that is. Yeah.
Okay, so
stuff.
good.
Delicious.
This is prime test of how
Uh-oh.
local you've become, right?
Uh-oh.
So because like dim sum is a good example because everybody's like cha siu, siu mai,
Yeah,
cha siu
yeah.
bao.
Yeah.
Those are the three done.
Yeah.
That's been done. It's in 7-Eleven. Go get it over there. Don't waste your time at the dim sum place, right? So what about the dim sum? Do you go to the places where they give you a sheet of paper, they chop on the sheet of paper?
Yeah, of course.
Or do you do the one where you have to pencil mark what you want yourself? on
So the most recent one that we really liked was on the hiking path to the observatory.
Yeah.
At the very top there, as you're going over to Yunlong.
Yeah.
Yunlong, sorry. And it's Route Twisk. So you take Route Twisk, take the bus up. At
Yeah.
the very peak there's a traditional village, and there is a hyper traditional dim sum
So
place.
old ladies pushing carts to dim sum.
No, not even. It's
No.
like it's just shacks.
You
and,
serve
and you walk up
yourself.
to
Nice.
the areas.
All right. So
You make your own fucking tea.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
that's even
Damn,
more
that's
advanced.
hardcore.
So I've been to
Yes.
like down in Central for dim sum. There used to be this place. I forget the name. It's like at the corner of Wellington and I think Aberdeen Street. It's like an old school thing where you have people pushing the carts.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But this is Hong Kong, okay? We know where the carts are coming out. People stand around the door where the carts are coming out and they're just grabbing the stuff. Right? So by the time the cart gets to your table, they're like,
Yeah.
you're an idiot for sitting here. Like, I'm doing the rounds because I have to do the
Wow.
rounds. That's my path. But everything's gone by then.
Right, right.
But this is the serve yourself kind of thing, right?
Yeah, and actually, all the greens there were from the farm right there.
Oh.
Yeah, they're growing their
they
own
just had some
organic-
sort of weird cress.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just heaps of it. And I asked for, they had lettuce. So like, no, only a little bit of lettuce. Cress.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. So you got the proper.
And they're rotating it. Yeah, and you get out of there. I mean, it's not super cheap, but
Yeah.
it's mobbed. And you have to find yourself a plastic chair somewhere among the tinfoil roof.
Yeah.
So-
that's it.
No, amongst the drill press, actually.
Yeah, the drill, that's
Yeah,
right. Because
it
it's
was
like
drill
car
press
repair.
and dim sum.
Oh,
and,
okay.
So this might be a bit of a secret, and we can cut that if you want. But you guys are planning to settle down here. You're
Yeah,
not.
we love
you're-
Hong Kong.
Yeah,
2 more years till
We
PR.
got that, but like a lot of people have PR though. But you seem pretty set on actually just staying here forever, basically.
Yeah.
Right. You have no plans on going back home and living back home, wherever respective
Well,
homes you
if they
guys
let
are
us
from.
out, we're going to California in a couple days because I have a house there that I want to go back, clean up, and sell.
Yeah,
'Cause
I
we're
know,
now
but I
really-
think my
we're
point is
stuck in this
that
place.
for a Western business people come here for a certain period of time. Maybe it's 20, 30 years or whatever, but it's kind of rare
Yeah.
for people to just be like, oh, no, this is my home now forever.
It's a really good question because you're sort of asking about feelings. And I think being an expat, you've always got one foot somewhere else, haven't you?
Yes.
So being from the UK, I've always got a foot in Britain. He's got a house in California. I've always got a foot in California, and then I've always got a foot here. I'm a three-legged person.
Hey, that's what he said. Hey.
And the trouble is, every time we've left Hong Kong, it's always been, oh, great, I'm out of Hong Kong. And now leaving Hong Kong, I think because we've been here so long, we're kind of worried about being exposed to Western culture again and how upsetting it's going to be and how impolite.
Do you feel this is the change in your mentality? So, for example, like I used to compare when I go to Melbourne, right, for the comedy festival over there. Every time is the same thing. Okay, first week I go there, I'm like, oh, grass is greener on the other side, blue skies, there's some space. By the second week, I'm like, there's a space in the bus. Get the hell into that space. I'm not waiting for the next bus, right? People, stores are closing at 6 p.m. Like, what the hell? The sun's still up. Sell me that stuff.
Yeah.
Right? All these small things, I'm just like, I can't believe the level of efficiency in Hong Kong. And the fact that it's so, the proximity here as well that you can appreciate. For example, if today you say, hey, I want to go for a hike, but I have to do my job. You're like, well, I could go for a hike and do my job at the same time.
Yeah.
Everywhere else is like, oh, it's one or the other, right? It's drive 2 hours, do this, whatever.
No, you're going to have internet connectivity on the top of the hill. You know.
Oh, yeah, full on.
Okay, well,
but we were a 13-minute bus ride down to this interview from taking a hike.
Oh, there you go, yeah.
Well, I would present the counter argument to that though, because you Bugs, you were just saying that you're worried that you go to back to the West and kind of be exposed to the Western culture again and how you feel about that.
Yeah.
But there is also a lot of privileges. For example, right before recording, we were talking about the real estate prices, right?
Yeah.
And how insane it is here. We're even talking about like people who buy property here versus renting or all of these things. When you go back home, forget about him owning a house in California. The fact that you can pay half of what you're paying here and get space, there's a lot of people say human space. When you have a fucking backyard and a big kitchen and all of these things, and I am paying crazy amount of money that is like equivalent to like a New York Manhattan apartment rent, and I'm living in a shoebox.
Yeah, it's the gilded cage you can't afford to buy. You know,
Right.
I mean, there's so many things you love about Hong Kong, and yet the fundamentals are broken. You can't buy a house, you can't rent. It's
I don't know. Renting's not that bad here. I mean, in the U.S.
In Tsuen Wan? No, it's good.
In the U.S., I'm paying $2,000 a month just in property taxes every month. And
Yeah, that's California. That's kind of your fault.
Yeah, well, California. I mean, that's
California is crazy, though.
No, I mean, it's a really good example because California is always bankrupt.
Right.
Right. And one of the things I'm noticing here, like in the U.S., right, they're getting rid of Chinese companies off the stock exchange, and they're all coming here. And there's two main sources of income for the government here. There's the small tax on a stock purchase, and then there's the rentals of the leasing fees for land.
The government rates, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And it looks like the stock market is going to grow 50 to 100% by kicking out all the stuff out of Wall Street and bringing it here, which is going to double one of the two main sources of money. And one of the things we really enjoy in Hong Kong is a government that's not bankrupt. So, they're always chasing money. I'll give you an example in California. Something that bugged me is if I lend my business money and then later I pay it back, they retax it. They tax it again because they're so desperate for money. It has nothing to do with what's fair. It's just they need money. And they're like, oh, you can pay yourself back now. We'll take another 10%, please.
Right.
And here it's not that at all.
Yeah.
They really let you grow as a business. And one of the reasons we're so here is because I've been an entrepreneur since I was 14. And I just can't deal with what it's like to do business in America now that I've seen a better way.
Yeah. I think the tax system is definitely very attractive in Hong Kong for anyone. I mean, anybody who works over here, you're like, wait, you pay how much tax for what? This is it?
Yeah.
This is stupid now,
There's a really common situation in the U.S. where there's something bad that's happening with you in the government, whatever it is. There's no one you can call. Like if you're filling out taxes, you have a question, you can't call the government and ask. You have to ask an advisor who may or may not know.
And he would probably charge you
And that's
just
so
to
weird.
talk to you.
Yeah, and here, besides the bilingual thing, I mean, one of the things that's also super weird about Hong Kong is the fact that foreigners actually get rights. That's just super weird because, not in Taiwan or Singapore or the U.S. is it the case that foreigners have the same rights as locals.
And this is not white privilege. We're talking about legal rights.
Yeah,
right?
talking about legal rights.
Sure.
And an example is, we just had mushrooms growing out of the walls of a place we were renting. And so we called up the government and they sent us a one-page sheet. One side Cantonese, one side English. You fill it out. Government inspector comes. I'm like, wait, something actually happens?
Yeah.
So that kind of blew my mind. And that kind of, I think that Hong Kongers are used to actually government that works. And so when it doesn't work, they get really pissed off.
Yeah.
And what they don't see is largely in the US and more in Europe, the government is not there
At all.
to help you.
Yeah.
It's there to collect money and then service itself.
I think it's very true because I was talking to someone like who works in India, and he was talking about how like sure, in Hong Kong we're protesting government and everything, but actually comparatively, Hong Kong government is like really it gets the job
It's
done.
a dream still.
Right,
Yeah.
compared to the rest of the world. But of course, this is the whole Asian mentality of like, if the next door neighbor's kid is failing, doesn't mean you're allowed to fail as well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that's why we have that whole thing. Like, no. I don't care if they suck in the States. In Hong Kong, we want this level.
I love that higher standard. The same reason that in South Korea, they have a really high standard for the elected officials, and they're putting them in prison when they don't. And, and there have been quite a few elected officials in Hong Kong that have gone to prison.
Exactly.
So
Back in the good old days.
Great. Kind of recently. So
Soon to be called just officials.
Yeah.
One word.
Exactly. Oh man. All right. So I mean, it's always good to hear like people who've kind of assimilated the lifestyle of Hong Kong and made this like home, right? But I mean, how much of your family understand this choice of yours? Like, I'm sure there must be like, why would you want to? What's so good? I don't get it. Like, I've seen Hollywood movies. It's not that great to me.
Bugs, you talk about your mom a lot. Like, what is her stance on you just choosing? Does she know that you want to just be permanently based here?
I haven't broken that to her, no. She's fine as long as I'm eating
Maybe I
well.
should send her this episode then.
Yeah.
She's fine as long as I'm eating well and making money. As long as I'm making money.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think she's come to Hong Kong.
Right.
And she was an entrepreneur. So she feels the sense of just getting stuff done in Hong Kong. It's very vibrant. It's very fast paced compared to other.
Man.
It's full on.
I'm telling you, every time I travel and I forget I have to slow stuff down. Like, real simple. I was in Melbourne for the festival. I needed to print some flyers. I was like, okay, my show's next week. Let me get the flyers done. Right, it's got to work.
Yeah.
No, You go there. There's 2 days processing, and then they'll send an email to confirm if your dimensions and everything are right. I'm like, dude, I'm a designer. I know this will work.
I'm gonna pre-author credit.
Yeah, right. All that stuff, and then but next week
geez.
between Monday and Wednesday we should have it ready. I'm like, what do you mean between Monday and Wednesday? You're not delivering this.
I love the hustle.
Yeah. So she really loves the hustle of Hong Kong,
Oh,
and so for her, I think it's you're there to work, you're there to do business, and it's the best place to do business.
Yeah.
So go for it.
Exactly.
She's probably not into dim sum.
give it the crunchy in the inside, soft on the outside. Maybe she'd be like, wait, what's happening in my mouth? This is fantastic.
How about you, John? Like your side of the family in the US, or you also grew up in France, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was born in the UK, raised in France, and so I'm an immigrant. And when I came to America at age 10, it took me 6 years before I got rid of my accent.
Seems like you still want to get rid of the accent.
We're not talking about that.
You couldn't get rid of
I got that expunged from my record, so let's not talk about it. and so I've always felt like an immigrant in places, and I've got that hustle that the immigrant has. And when I lived in the San Francisco area, all my friends were people who all had world experience, whether they've come to America as immigrants or they go to the rest of the world to get some life experience. And one of the things I really appreciate about Hong Kongers is they have this extreme outward view. Right? When I went to the Wan Chai Computer Center, I'm like, I'm going to be able to buy some cheap Chinese technology, right? There's no Chinese technology at the Wan Chai Computer Center. It's all German, Japanese. Like, we don't want any of that Chinese stuff. We want the foreign stuff.
Right.
Right? We're not going to talk about my business, but we make coffee machines here in Hong Kong, and like Hong Kongers are not interested because we're going to buy the Italian, the German stuff, the American stuff.
And you're like, proudly made in Hong Kong. You're like,
that's cool, but it's probably not as good as the stuff from Italy.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Here's the trick. Proudly made in Hong Kong, but by a white guy. It's like, Gilles. Like,
that's actually, I know he is joking, but it's also kind of true.
It's actually
if they know it's made by foreigners, that's a good selling point. I'm not even joking.
Sure.
It's true.
Yeah.
It might not sound right because it's better quality than whatever they're trying to buy.
Yeah.
But it's
It's a sad reality. I mean, very honest with you, is that we've always had it ingrained in our heads over here, where like, oh, Western, it's better over there. For example, English teachers, same thing. Like, and there's always, the running joke is always like the English teacher who can't speak English, right? But just has the right face, right? So I'm sure
hey,
you've been kind
Vivek, I'm right here. Fuck you.
He's a professor.
I'm a professor.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I'm trying to get to that point.
Yeah,
right over
exactly.
there, right?
I have a whole segment in my act about it. And I talk, actually, you guys haven't come to shows, but I talk about how I'm not even the worst teacher at the university where I was, because the other teachers who are white pretending to be Americans or Canadians, and they're all Russians and Eastern European.
Yeah.
And this is a reality of teaching in mainland China especially. And you walk into any class and the teacher will be like, hello, my name is Tom, I'm from Canada. I'm like, all right, yeah, this is embarrassing. Because they just
Where's the vodka?
yeah. It's like, yeah, back home in my country of Canada, we eat vodka or whatever. Yeah. It's bad.
Oh, man.
Yeah. But it's because it's the same thing. It's like, oh, the foreign face is always better.
Yeah, it's just that idea.
You know what we can do, John? We can have an Italian flag on the back of the machine. Italian flag does not mean made in Italy. It's just an Italian flag.
You just happen to have 3 colors. Just different shades I liked.
Yeah, I mean, without getting too serious, there's stuff that is in Hong Kong that once you get used to it, like you get used to walking on the street and not being worried about getting mugged.
Yeah.
Like no one's going to hit me.
Yeah.
No one's going to take money from me. And it's constant when you're in America, this physical fear.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm going to walk to that park. It's like, no, you better not if you're in America.
Yeah.
This is actually a huge advantage that we just take for granted now. Yeah. I've lived, even in mainland China, I've lived there for 7 years, 8 years, and then here for 2 years. Yes. I forget that you have to have your guard up when you're walking to place. I went to Europe, and I went to Copenhagen a few years ago, in downtown Copenhagen at night, and I'm like, I need to be aware of my surroundings.
This is my worry about leaving here, and it's what I'm saying about Western culture. It's just that in the back of your mind, am I going to get mugged? Am I going to get robbed? It's...
I mean, right now in San Francisco, everyone tells me, don't go and park your car there because you need to keep it unlocked, and people will just scratch it. They'll break into it. There's a kind of ever-present smell of urine pretty much everywhere you walk in major cities in America. It's like, and because they don't do public toilets like we do here.
Yeah.
Like everywhere there's public toilets. You need a bathroom? No problem. Hey, just pull up the Hong Kong hiking map and there's the bathroom on the map.
Is that not a thing in California?
No, it's not anywhere.
Yeah, they're closing them all down. And
from what I understand, it seems to be also like there is a massive homeless problem in San Francisco. Is that correct?
Yes.
What is that about?
And Berkeley, I mean, when you're on the motorway, underneath the motorway is just tents. We're talking about 10, 20,000 people. It's just, it looks like the photos of India, except that's what that is now. Actually, let me ask the local here. So we thought there were no homeless at all. And then we found them all
in Hong Kong.
Yeah, in Hong Kong, and then we found them all in TST right next to Chanel.
Oh yeah.
What is the deal? Why are they getting handbags? What's the deal?
No. It's just like that became the location under the bridge and stuff, right? In the subway area. Yeah, that's always been the location. You would see like in Shim Sai Choi over there. You got some in Sham Ship Ho. In fact, there's like the charity Impact Hong Kong.
I was about to pull out their information. So we actually had someone from the charity, Jeff who runs that charity, on the podcast before. They do something called the Kindness Walk.
So is it drugs or is it real poverty that's causing that?
That's half and half.
Okay.
It could be drugs. It could also be basically family disowning. It's got issues like, for example, losing of basic connection with people because of basically loss of job and loss of income. And
mental illness as well.
Mental illness as well.
Yeah, right.
So there's a lot of issues over there. I mean, a lot of it is, it's not so much like, oh, this guy did it to himself. It's a lot of it like basically just society happened to make that happen. You know, and they got in that situation and it just didn't work out. So it wasn't so much like gambling addicts or drug addicts. It's like just life just happened in that way and it screwed them up. There are now a lot of people who decide to be homeless just because they're like, why am I paying that rent? I'm gonna slip on the streets and I'll live through that and maybe 1 year later go back to my flat or whatever,
So our bus stop that we take when we take 930X up to Tsuen Wan is the Lady Trench Methadone Clinic.
Yeah.
Right. And so it isn't like drugs don't exist here, but I was impressed. It's there, and every once in a while we'll see someone passed out next to the ATM.
Very, very rare.
But
comparatively, I mean, in the West, even when I was in Australia and in Sydney, they were like certain streets are like, dude, that area you're gonna see a whole bunch of guys just lying there all day long, just like half awake, half dozed,
you just don't see drug abuse on
You-
the
yeah,
streets
you-
in Hong Kong on a
no-
day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
And in San Francisco, you walk down the street. If you just Google City Hall San Francisco, you'll see it is an official tent city now. And they've put tape on the ground so that each tent is appropriately
It's
spaced.
1.5
Wow.
meters
In-
socially
it's-
The
distanced.
tents are socially distanced?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's an official tent city, City
Oh
Hall.
my God.
Yeah.
That's okay. So, but also, as we were just saying that the taxes in Hong Kong are so low that actually makes sense that social services wouldn't be that good. But it's the opposite.
Yes.
In the California are paying such high taxes, and this shit is happening. And
Well,
where are
it's-
your tax money going?
I
Well,
will-
where do you think the money's going?
I don't know. I'm asking you guys. I've never been to the U.S. You answer me.
I do have I have a theory that's going to answer your question.
Yes.
Which is, as I've traveled the world, I've seen a direct correlation between the quality of street performers' music and the wealth, the social security network.
Right.
Right. So, like, New York has the best street music in the world. So many musicians been discovered in the subway here and there. And then here, it's like people cannot even sing in tune.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. I agree.
Yeah.
So because it's like desperation sends them out to become good musicians or something. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. I think so. I mean, like, people know that you got to hit the right tone if you want to make it big, right? But over here, it's only like I said. I mean, my joke was like 9 tones in Cantonese, everyone hit on the spot, right? You got like 8 different tones.
But not
like,
if they're singing.
Yeah, once you sing
Not if
the
they're singing,
same
is that
word with
when
like
they-
C major, don't know that one. Yeah, that's what happened.
We were doing a pretty big show at the lawn where the Ferris wheel is, and we were competing with the lady who's playing
on the bridge.
on the bridge,
Oh,
the overpass. We could
had the
hear her
bigger
from the
speaker.
stage. Yeah, no, well, we had the much bigger speaker,
Right,
but she
okay.
was going on.
She's not gonna stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, but only the audience couldn't hear her, but we could hear her from stage. It was very distracting.
Oh man. Well, I'm glad that the toilet situation in Hong Kong has attracted people to stay here.
So clean.
I gotta tell you, when we
Always.
hike, sometimes we're trudging through mud. I think the locals are happy that there are toilets and showers
Yeah.
to clean
Yeah.
off the guilos.
I mean,
mean-
I always take paper with me, but I never need it. It's always clean. Well,
These are the things you need to know.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we did start like the episode with toilet humor, and these guys
Yeah,
ended with
exactly.
toilet location. So I guess it is just.
Actually, let me ask you one last question because both of your backgrounds are quite different. You grew up in the UK, Bugs, and you grew up mostly in France and the US, right? Correct, John?
Yeah, bounced around a little bit more than that, but go ahead.
Okay, what were your ideas separately about China and Hong Kong when you were growing up? Like, what did you know about this part of the world, or what did you learn? Like,
So I always looked at Chinese culture and Japanese culture as being opposites. And what I mean by that is, like, in Japan, people are much more quiet. They keep their distance. There's bowing. The arts are much more minimalist, right? Their pottery, their writing, the art is much more toned down, right? It's this whole Zen thing. And when I think of China, I think of Chinese pottery, which is like encrusted with all this Baroque stuff. It's so complicated. And you think of noise and chaos and intensity. And I think I still feel that way. I feel like they are their yin to their yang. And Japan is where you get your Zen, and here is where you get your hustle.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this in a different manner. What was your introduction to Chinese culture when you were growing up?
I think it's kind of sad, but the introduction to Chinese culture for most Americans is Chinatown, where you basically have
Is that the movie or the actual place?
the places all over America, and what you have are extremely poor Chinese, uneducated people basically running restaurants, and they're just screaming at each other. They don't look healthy, and you think that's Chinese. You think it's just poor and it's cultureless, and you don't see the rest of it. But I feel the same way about the Philippines too, because all the Filipinos I knew in America were gardeners, and it turns out there's some cultured Filipinos. If you go there,
Yeah, right.
So I think you cannot judge a country by the immigrants that you occasionally meet.
Okay, what was it like for you, Bugs? Like introduction to Chinese culture when you were growing up or when you were young?
I mean, you're talking to someone who grew up in a town where there were no.
That's
other
exactly why I'm asking you.
ethnicities.
Yes, I know.
So
There was one Indian guy, right?
Yeah. So
no,
actually,
there was one. Oh yeah, there was one Indian guy.
I remember you telling me that.
He was the eye surgeon at the local hospital,
Right.
obviously, and there was one
because
Chinese
your
guy.
town is very small, isn't it?
Yeah.
How many people? What is it called?
It's called Boston.
It's Boston,
It's
Lincolnshire.
Boston of
Yeah.
the UK.
It is. It's
It's like
where,
the same spelling. Boston,
Yes.
as in the state in the U.S.
where we imprisoned the Pilgrim Fathers before they eventually set sail.
You're looking at me
on
like
the
I'm supposed to
Mayflower.
know.
Yeah, you don't know any of
I
that. do
don't
you?
know any of that. So give me a little crash course in your village.
It's not a village; it's a town.
I think by Chinese standards, it's a village.
So, yeah, I'm embarrassed to say that I knew one Indian family. Dad
Yeah.
was the eye surgeon.
Yeah,
And I knew one Chinese family,
yeah.
and they ran the local Chinese restaurant.
That's so. This is like a scene from The Simpsons, basically.
No,
It's just a bunch of white people in a village.
And-
The doctor is the Indian.
Token.
yeah.
Token and no black people. That's
no,
not, okay.
no,
yeah.
no, no black
Even
people.
that coach is like, oh, all right,
No.
let's not go
Yeah.
too crazy
They
here.
didn't make it out there. And I'm surrounded by cabbages and Brussels sprouts, and every year we have the annual the World Crisp Symposium, because the best potatoes for crisps. So people come from around the world to discuss the different
This sounds really
types of
exciting.
potatoes to
I
make
see
crisps.
why Hong Kong completely sold you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm comparing to a place that sells potatoes
So
for
you
fame.
you grow up in an environment like that, and you're going to
Yeah.
educate yourself.
You learn to
really
appreciate
hard.
And you
everything.
also want to go exact opposite of everything you've known.
You just go to London. Everyone's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, I'm going to London.
Right.
Bye.
Damn.
But you could have had the form. Yeah, I'm going to London.
I'm good, thank you.
Good. So, no experience of Chinese culture whatsoever.
Okay.
And never seen anyone in a turban until I was 20 years of age.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
And that was in London when you moved to the big city.
Yeah, well, no,
And
at
you're like,
university.
whoa,
Yeah. At
what are
university.
those?
No, I stared at him and I said, do you cut your hair? Do you ever take that off? And people are like pulling me back, going, you
Yeah.
can't ask these questions. And I'm like, but I'm really curious. I've never
happened?
seen anyone with a turban.
So the flip side of this is basically me moving to a third-tier city in China. I'm not even kidding. Because the exact same experience you had is like people who are coming from maybe a farm in close to the North Korean border to the capital city where I was and seeing a foreigner with a beard for the first time of their lives.
Yeah.
I was that guy. When they just hand me a baby, they're like, hold the baby. I'm like, no.
Who are you?
Who are you? Why would I hold your
Tell
baby?
me about your life.
It wasn't also like take a picture. It was just hold the baby. That's the end of the exchange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just hold my baby.
Maybe you just look like a sucker. And then they ran, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So no Asian experience growing up.
Yeah. Well,
And I have to, it's the same as John or Gil or whoever.
Hey, you.
First
This one.
Asian experience is Chinatown in London. And it's like, wow, this place is busy and frenetic and
Yeah.
and does really good ribs.
oh man, I bet you every time now, whenever you're traveling, go to an actual Chinatown, you're like, this is bullshit.
Yes.
Oh, I gotta
Oh,
tell
yeah.
you, no. I gotta tell you, I was really pissed off because Chinatown, London has really good Hong Kong chefs. And I can, for the equivalent of 100 Hong Kong, get a better meal than
Yeah.
I can
That's
here.
true.
Let me tell you this: at this rate, pretty much every Chinatown in England is going to have a good Hong Kong chef.
yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, so I come here, I'm like, man, your hao gao is bland.
Got to go to UK for good HK, man.
Yeah, what was the number? I was looking at something recently to talk about the number of people who have left this
Well,
year.
100,000, right?
Yeah, 100,000.
already got out of Hong Kong. It's going to keep like I said, once the flights and everything resume and
But what demographic is that? 100,000
Lo-
Hong Kongese?
Hong Kongese,
or-
yeah,
local.
Expats.
yeah, locals.
It's not
Hong
expats.
Kongese.
They're talking
Yeah.
about the local.
Local,
Hong Kong
yeah,
people.
yeah. So
Yeah.
migration out of Hong Kong. And-
I know children's school places is
Yeah.
remarkably easy these days.
Yeah, for sure. They're like, please have a kid. We'd be happy to teach them. Yeah, well, teach them stuff we want them to learn, though. So we'll see about that.
So actually, you guys plan to live in Hong Kong. Maybe the plan would be live in Hong Kong, but in London. So that's the best of both worlds.
Yeah,
You like that Chinatown there. You would be close to Boston or whatever.
No, I left, man. I'm out of there. I'm upset you brought it up because
we'll see. Look, all we have to know is that whatever
Shame.
happens is as long as when we move wherever we go, if there's a place that we rename called Tsuen Wan, we
Yes.
know who's going to be going there.
Guys, thank you so much for coming on. This was a lot of fun.
thank you for having us.
Thanks a
And
lot.
hopefully you make your flight.
What news report? I'm going to check the news
Actually,
report.
before we go, if you guys are enjoying the podcast, please leave us a review on whatever app you're using, and also consider joining us on the Patreon. It's $5 for fuck's sake, and it will be helping us a lot, upgrading our equipment again.
So $5 gets you fuck's sake?
Yes, $5 a month.
It's a Muhammad fuck's sake, though.
Yeah.
So
It's good value.
And we do, all kind of bonus episodes every Thursday as well, and you'll be just supporting two brown artists. Don't be racist. All right, thanks everybody.